Well, now, let me set this story down the way an old porch sitter would. You take a town like Pine Bluff. Back before the smoke and whistle of the locomotive, it was already humming. Cotton floated down the Arkansas River like a white tide, bound for New Orleans, and the city fattened on the Delta's back. Folks, especially freedmen after the war, were the muscle of that river trade, stacking bales, working the levees, building a new life out of the old South ruins. Then 1873 rolled in with iron wheels. The Little Rock, Mississippi River and Texas Railroad staked the first claim. Pine Bluff, already a prize, found itself in the middle of a tug-of-war between railroad barons. A few years later, the Tyler Tap out of Texas, just a dinky narrow-gauge line at first, morphed into the Texas and St. Louis under James Paramore. They laid track fast and cheap, trying to run cotton north to St. Louis. And by August of 1883, those rails kissed Pine Bluff. But He's has a way of tripping you. By 1884, that whole venture was in receivership. Another outfit, St. Louis, Arkansas, and Texas, took over and widened the track to standard gauge, which meant they could finally play ball with the big railroads. Yet money troubles lingered like a cough after a hard winter. That's when Jay Gould, the Wall Street wolf, stepped in and bought the whole works. By 1891, he had it reorganized and christened it the St. Louis Southwestern, better known as the Cotton Belt Route. Now here's where Pine Bluff's story takes a turn. In 1894, Gould and Company built their main machine shops there. Not a side yard, not a shed, no sir. This was a cathedral of industry. Giant cranes, transfer tables, forges that glowed like hellfire. It was the most advanced industrial plant in Arkansas, and it turned Pine Bluff from a river town into a railroad town. Those shops weren't just about fixing busted pistons. They turned out cabooses, freight cars, and in 1937, right in the teeth of the Depression, they built 5 of their own L1 class steam locomotives, massive 484 Northerns with all the latest bells and whistles. Imagine that. Men who'd grown up picking cotton or farming corn, now machining steel giants with roller bearings and box-pock wheels. That shop was a schoolhouse, a factory, and a second home all in one, with skills passed from father to son. Pine Bluff swelled right alongside it. From a couple thousand folks in 1870, the city was pushing 10,000 by 1890, third largest in the state. Timber mills fired up, cottonseed plants churned, foundries claimed, all of it fed by and feeding the railroad. You might say the Cotton Belt was Pine Bluff's backbone. But bones have joints, and not everybody was treated the same. The railroad worker was called the elite compared to farmhands, but even there the ladder was split. White engineers pulled down near $1,000 a year, while black section hands, those who laid and mended track, scraped by on little more than 100. Skilled trades inside the shop, whites only. Black men were kept in the dirties, lowest pay jobs, cleaning engines, swinging hammers, digging ditches. The brotherhoods of the day, the engineers, the conductors, saw to it that contracts locked those lines tight. Sometimes those tensions boiled over. In 1896, 5 black trackmen near Camden were murdered by a mob of white men, a brutal warning shot in the war over labor and color. And even the white craftsmen found themselves cornered. In 1922, the National Shopman Strike hit Pine Bluff hard. 400,000 men downed tools across the country, only to be slapped back to work by federal injunctions. Shows you the tilt of the table. Corporations and the government on one side, labor on the other. The Cotton Belt kept rolling, but the Depression knocked it flat. In 1932, Southern Pacific took it over. Pine Bluff still had its shops, still had its skilled men, but the little empire was no longer its own master. By 1940, the little Cotton Belt dream was gone. And yet, those machine shops left a mark deeper than steel rails. They were proof that the South could turn a cotton town into an industrial hub, that hands used to plow could learn to wield calipers and blueprints. But they also left behind a scar. Progress built on Jim Crow lines, where opportunity was rationed by skin. So when you walk past the old cotton belt shops in Pine Bluff, you're not looking at more than brick walls and rusted rails. You're looking at a crucible where a city was forged, its wealth, its workers, and its wounds. Cotton and iron, hope and hardship, bound together in the hum of a machine shop that once beat like the heart of the cotton belt root.